Well, August new car registrations are normally quiet, but this August the results are also dramatic. The change in number plates now takes place on the 1st of September, and who wouldn't want the latest number on their new car? But while some registrations were totally dire, others showed an incredible leap forwards. I'm Dave. As part of our EV mission leading to 2030, I'm taking on a deep dive into those figures. Okay, just a quick message before we launch the data. No, it's not all pre-registrations. The UK Government, Department of Transport both take their figures from the SMMT, Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. So do we. SMMT publishes those pre-registration figures, and while we don't yet have August figures, the July 2025 figures accounted for, wait for it, 116 cars. That's ICE and EV in the whole of the UK. They also record production, number of vehicles actually made, sales, number of vehicles sold, and registrations, number of vehicles registered at DVLA for use on the UK roads, in addition to cars sold to dealers. They're right on the ball. Headline news: UK new car total registrations fell 2% in August 2025 versus last August. So not only a traditionally quiet month, but worse than August last year. We're heading backwards. 82,908 were registered this August, but the split of what was registered is where the real interest lies. Petrol-only cars fell by a massive 14.2%, from 43,534 down to 37,373. Diesel crashed once again, 16.6%. Interesting, HEVs also fell dramatically, 13.9%, from 11,000 down to 9,000. Well, the results would have been far worse if not for the electric cars. PHEVs saw a massive leap of 69.4% to reach 9,800, while BEVs surged 14.9% to 21,969. So what does all this mean? Well, I've said repeatedly, when a new technology arrives on the scene, it's not the sales of that new technology that's the driving force, but the collapse in sales of the old tech. With tech like mobile phones, they're relatively cheap. Many people are happy just to quickly ditch the old and get the new, but cars aren't like that. First, most are on some form of finance, lease or loan or hire purchase, and the terms of these are quite long, sometimes 3, 4, even 5 years. People cannot just ditch their cars to get the latest tech. Second, they're expensive, and most people likewise cannot afford to just settle their old finance and buy new. What is interesting here is the crash in sales of the old tech, as petrol and diesel. Well, this indicates a large group of ICE buyers who would normally have bought another ICE car this month, but they've decided not to. Now, it's too soon to state why, time will tell, but many seem to be spooked. I suspect here there are mixed messages. First, the EV mandate, marking the end of when manufacturers can sell new petrol or diesel only cars, which switched from 2035 to 2030, then back to 2035 and now back to 2030. And 2030 is now just over 4 years away, and so a 5-year lease or hire purchase agreement enters this new era. Then the change in road tax or VED, many have not yet found out just how much next renewal will cost. And now that there's new EV subsidies. It is uncertain times, and uncertain buyers generally just like to hold back and see what happens. New total registrations are down by 1,667 units, while petrol registrations crashed down 6,161 units, diesel by 858. So fossil fuel-powered cars were down 8,540. I count HEVs in here because most of them can only ever drive on petrol or diesel. The electric bit just virtually gives them an unnoticed boost. Yet that same uncertainty did not hold back those switching to electric. BEV registrations up by 2,856, PHEVs by 4,017. If not for the BEV and PHEV massive increase in registrations, the UK new car market would have been pretty much terminal. Now, regarding PHEVs, we haven't previously covered them much on this channel. First, because by 2025 they'll be illegal to sell, and BEVs will be all you can buy new. And second, because for far too many people, they buy the PHEVs for entirely the wrong reasons. Many people are doing so because to them it's a halfway house, neither sticking in with the old technology nor jumping in with both feet to the new. But either way, ICE only is just collapsing. Some of the PHEV drivers will go full BEV next time, and yes, some will not. But the market share is changing. Well, BEVs hit 26.5% last month, its highest level yet, well on the way to the magical 28% set in the EV mandate. But BEVs continue to make up the largest part of the BEV and PHEV electric market, outnumbering them by more than 2 to 1. Now, overall, UK total new car market is up to a 5-year peak, but still nowhere near the pre-pandemic levels. The overall market is not growing back to where it was supposed to be, and the ICE sector is taking a real beating. Countless car manufacturers have openly stated that they're concentrating on making ICE cars because they cannot yet make a profit from BEVs, but that market is shrinking fast. And ask any economist what happens when the factories produce far more than demand. We get price cuts. Well, manufacturers outbid each other to make sure they get their share of the rapidly shrinking market. Now, add in the fact that if the mandate stands, then they do not want these cars hanging around in 2029 because they will be illegal to sell at the end of next year. I predict the start of a continuous price-cutting exercise that's likely to last a few years. Now, by then, we'll know for definite if the mandate is here to stay. If it is, nobody will want to buy the last remaining ICE cars. Now, ICE here means 100% petrol or diesel, not hybrids or PHEVs. Now, look at the top-selling cars in Europe. That shows an interesting split. The Ford Puma, priced at $26,580 for its mild hybrid. I believe the terminology used here is deliberately misleading, by the way, meant by the manufacturers to confuse buyers into getting something that they aren't. Mild hybrid, full hybrid, plug-in hybrid. I'm going to shortly launch a video looking at the difference between all these. So to avoid missing out on this, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We can notify you every time we launch a video. So at first glance, this is a great result for Ford and seemingly vindication for its decision to focus on petrol and hybrids, but all might not be what they seem to be. The mild hybrid was always several £1,000s cheaper than the BEV Gen E version, but now with the new EV subsidy, the BEV Puma Gen E is actually cheaper. Specific sales results of the Gen E versus the hybrid are not yet released. They'll be interesting. Well, the second best seller was the Kia Sportage with from 30,885 with 1,785 new sales. That was half what it was last month. Also interesting to note is the top 10 list features cars mainly from the 19 up to about £30,000 price range. But leaping into number 3 slot is the refresh Model Y at £45,000 with 1,650, followed closely by the Model 3 at £40,000 with 1,593 registrations. Now, these are quite possibly anomalies as the overall sales figures are lower in August, but once again it's too soon to be certain as the Tesla gigafactories were shut down for an extended period earlier in the year as they switched production over to the refresh model. So next month's figures will again be really interesting. One fascinating figure is the number 6 place. That's the JQ7, priced at $30,000. Who's ever even heard of this? Hands up. Well, I've seen one sat in one. I'm quite impressed. But the dealership we visited that sells them is also a Ford dealer. So effectively, people wandered into a Ford dealer, presumably to buy a Ford petrol car, then drove out in a car they've never heard of. Great going, JQ. Bringing up the rear of the Mini Cooper, still going, MGHS. Surely that's on its last legs. So looking at the top 10, we now start to see the direct head-to-head that everybody's been crying out for. The Ford Puma petrol, priced at $26,850, with the all-electric Gen E, now with the subsidy, $26,245, £605 cheaper for the EV. We finally have price parity. Almost. The Corsa is 19,000 petrol versus 26 for electric, so a lot of work is needed there. But the Mini Cooper, petrol 5-door, 26,265, all electric to 26,905, virtually price parity. JQ7 is not available or priced up as an EV, but the soon-to-be-launched JQ5 is. Petrol is 24,505, while the BEV 27,505. Not a huge gap for a better spec car. Vauxhall, they're still wildly overpriced as an EV. They deserve to be ignored till they join in with the others. Oh, by the way, I've just got back from a BY dealer, and they have the Dolphin Surf starting at 18,000. That's now cheaper without any subsidy than the petrol Corsa. So finally, we're shaping up later this year to see a true battle, head-to-head price parity, where buyers can simply go in, choose what's right for them. No more choosing purely on price. Q4, the last quarter of this year, will be a true indication as to where we're going. So all of you EV deniers, cross price and expensive off your list of lies and myths that you peddle. Overall, year to date, the new car market is slightly up at 5-year peak, but still 16.7% below pre-pandemic levels. And that's going to be a bitter blow to a car industry that a few years ago was forecasting a massive pent-up demand during COVID and an absolute sales boom once it finished. Never happened, and now, obviously never going to happen. We are significantly below pre-COVID sales, and over a quarter of that is now EVs, which are on a real sales boom. ICE cars are in serious trouble, and it'll not be long before their dominance has already disappeared. In August 2024, petrol cars were 51.5% of all cars registered. This year it's 45.1%. BEVs soared, meanwhile, from 22.6 to 26.5, and PHEVs rocketed from 6.8 to an eye-watering 11.8. Despite a great August for market penetration at 26.5, the year-to-date figure is languishing down at 21.9%. However, we're now coming into September. The EV subsidies are for about a quarter of all the EVs on sale. New budget models now filling the showrooms. Octopus just launches for their first V2G package. It's amazing. You get a BYD Dolphin for $299 a month, get a free bi-directional charger, and they'll switch you to a suitable tariff, and you get all your charging for free. Yeah, a new BYD and totally free charging. Or just get the BYD Dolphin Surf starting at 18,000. The EV future is looking really good. That's interesting to see if we are in the UK, we're just an anomaly, or if the rest of Europe's on a similar track. All the EV deniers leapt at Germany last year when the government stopped the subsidy, and EV sales absolutely tanked. Although detailed data is not yet available, let's see what's happening around Europe. And don't forget, they have the new ICE car sales cut-off in 2035. In Germany, new car sales saw a 5% increase to 207,229 units compared to August 24, and BEVs saw a massive 56% increase. The biggest year-to-year growth was BYD, which soared 411%. In France, they saw an increase in new registrations 2.2% to 87,850, but an absolute implosion of petrol car sales, minus 32.4%. for just 18,323 vehicles, and just a 20.9% share of the market compared to August last year. Diesel collapsed 26.9%. HEVs are up 30%, taking 45% of the market. Well, it looks like petrol-only cars are already finished in France. BEVs, meanwhile, soared 29.3% to 19.3% of the market. It's likely BEVs will overtake petrol in the next month or so in market share. BYD once again showed largest growth, 600%. In Spain, new car sales leapt 17.7%, 61,315. Now, they lump BEV and PHEV together, and they get an absolutely massive increase, 161.8% to 14,939, 24% of the market. Top performers, once again, BYD, 414%, but newcomer Jayco beat that, 973% from a smaller base. Italy saw a drop, 2.7%. BEV stood at 26.9%, probably the lowest in Europe. Petrol here also fell, down 13.9%. Well, the big month's coming, September with the number plate change, but also the first full month with the EV subsidies and the first full month with the Chinese attacking the market with a vengeance, like the Dolphin Surf at 18,000. By the way, only 2 EVs get the full 3,750 subsidy. That includes the Puma Gen E. The rest only get 1,500, while the Chinese in this first round don't get any subsidy at all, but most are offering their own. BYD is offering £1,820 off some models. GWM 3,750. What a coincidence. Leap Motor offers either 3,750 or 1,500 depending on the model. MG offers 1,500. Now, in some cases they're offering these while they wait to see if their application for the grant is successful. Others just accept they'll never get any subsidy and are just offering their own. Now, with 3,750 off list price of many cars, that will put many EVs now down below their petrol or hybrid equivalent. Not price parity, but now price advantage. I'm Dave. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, click the like button. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Massive thank you, as always, to our Patreon and YouTube members. Without you, we'd not be able to do what it is we're doing.